Good news, everyone. We're not talking about red pill content today.
Take me far away. I think I've had enough. I can't do no more. I'm finally breaking. You lost all my trust. I'm walking out of time. Taking me away.
Microphone check 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the WOLVPVCK podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly topics that we discuss on our weekly basis here in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Wolfson, and without further ado, let's get down to the shizness. So today, we got quite a few topics that we want to talk about, that we want to be more of an emphasis to talk about. And there's other more topics that I want to talk. I don't think we're going to be able to talk about it today. It's going to be for later episodes for more, episodes that are like, it's a slow week. So, let's talk about this, stuff like that. So today we're going to focus about a few things. We're going to talk about the Adam22 situation, which is getting exploded a lot more than what it should, but it's also a beneficial game from Adam himself. And I'll explain why. We're also going to talk about the Jonah Hill. Last week, we didn't discuss about it, but that's okay. We'll discuss about it right now. And also the recent, or the attempt, I guess, acquisition of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. That's big. That's your monopoly right there. But we're all going to discuss this, see how far we go with this. If you guys are feel like, oh man, you're like a little bit speed up. Yeah, I'm a little bit speed up because I've been talking for 20 minutes and I realized I never hit the record button. So now I'm doing this shit all over again. But now with much more a small context summarized portion of it. Because I got a little bit pissed off. It's like, I'm not going to talk about this again, but I have to. So let's talk about Adam22. I'm pretty sure you guys, if you listen to my podcast, you know who Adam22, or if you haven't listened to my podcast, but you have heard of who Adam22 is. But for those of you who don't know who Adam22 is, he was a pro BMX a biker who went from BMX to go and dive the hip hop community and the hip hop industry as a whole, and started to become like a sort of a journalist, media-esque type of person. Started interviewing hip-hop artists, trap artists, and started interviewing gurus from that industry and whatnot. Then he expanded a little bit to interviewing more celebrities from the entertainment industry. It's not necessarily in the music scene, but also started expanding like people from the YouTube hemisphere, the streamers world and whatnot. Also, and started interviewing Pronstar. That's where his now wife, at the time girlfriend, Lena the Plug, who's a prominent Pronstar. They created their own show called the Plug Talk show, when they interview a lot of women from the prom industry, and then after that they have sets. They do the D, all three of them. So it's basically a threesome that they film and whatnot. And also he started getting much more momentum when there has been like quite a few controversial people coming into the show, like the Nick Fuentes, the Sneagles, and whatnot. So it's kind of felt like kind of weird, but I see why he would expand from being just only hip hop into what it is right now. And it and his podcast channel was known as the No Jumper podcast, and the coolest podcast in the world, according to him. I don't know about that. It's debatable. But anyways, and for some time right now, it has died down. It has died down because of a recent scandal that it was all allegedly. And it started to die down little by little. You started to find out that he's been, like, all his coworkers have been having beefs with him because money issues, basically, or ownership claims and whatnot. So they stopped messing with him. And they said, we're done. And so he kept it going with the people that they stay with them. And yeah, that's where they are. So for the longest time, it was just dying out little by little. And not too long ago, he married his girlfriend, now his wife, Lena the Plug. So they got married. And they also have a daughter, but that was way before marriage. It was like, I don't know, like her daughter's like what 3-4 years ago old. I don't know. It was something like that, right? And they got married just not too long ago. Beautiful, amazing. And from the last episode, I discussed it. So the whole drama stems into after 1 month of them getting married, she let somebody ran over her. Because she posted on a video saying like, guess what, guys? I'm having my first prom scene with not my man, but someone else. And it was and she said her verbatim, I'm doing my first BBC. And for those of you who don't know, BBC is not the British news channel. No, BBC is big. So she did a video about it that she's doing her first BBC, and the dude that was gonna, that's doing the deed is a big ass black dude, puff looking motherfucker with tats all over his body and face, and titty dancing the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is going on? Why? And then
say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
It all exploded after that. Like everybody and their mothers are talking about it. And I try not to discuss it because that's someone else's relationship. Like we don't know what goes behind the scenes. So we don't know why are we judging it, but to each their own. But everybody exploded with all over the place, but mostly on two sides. The one side is basically saying, Adam, you're a simp. You're a cock. How are you letting someone else run over your wife? Your wife. You're married. Your wife. And it's a prom scene. It doesn't matter. Like, why are you letting it? And then the other side is saying, like, I mean, all's fair in love and bro step because he been running over 100 women and film it with his wife at right there. So the one time he let somebody else run it is like, so like, hello? But here's quite a few things. And I'm going to talk about my opinions behind this and what I think about this. And my head is like all over the place. So I'm trying my best to straighten up to make it one more cohesive way and then end it up with, the last thing. So the whole people that are talking about traditional marriages and talking about the sanctity of the marriage and this and that, the adultery and this and that, I'm like, all right, look, you gotta understand something. We're in 2023. It's not the same thing as it was 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago. It's not the same. It's much more quote unquote progressively, I guess. The values have changed. I mean, I'm doing a non-traditional wedding with my soon-to-be wife, who she's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it's funny enough because it's 4 weeks from now I'm getting married to her. But it's not a traditional wedding. Like, we don't have a priest. I was raised Catholic and she was. But we're not having a priest over. We're just having an officiant and that's it. Sign the papers and now I pronounce you husband and wife in the state of Florida, That's it. And we're not doing even a wedding per se. There's like a reception, a ceremony. Like, no. It's just a ceremony with our close friend, or no, not our friends. Look at that. Our friends are not even involved. It's our immediate family. That's the only people that are coming. Immediate. That's it. And then afterwards, we're having a nice little dinner and that's it. That's our wedding. We don't have to spend money on a fucking drag events, luxury shit with DJs and wedding bands and other crap. Like, no. We can just do our wedding and that's it. Call it a day. Just sign the papers, have the people there, and can't wait till we go eat together. That's it. It's very non-traditional. And sometimes people don't understand that that's acceptable because it's okay. We don't have to follow everything that has to go through religious beliefs or political beliefs. Like, no, it's okay to do this because, I mean, if you love the person, then, what else are you going to do? Just do the deed and that's it. But a lot of people have a lot of mixed feelings because they believe like, oh, no, the sanctity of the marriage, this is adultery and this and that. It's like, will I do it? No, that's my personal opinion. I wouldn't do it. But who am I or who are you to say like that shit is not going to work with those people? Maybe it does work. And maybe that's their way of keeping themselves alive and active all the time. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it works, but it doesn't mean that my way of thinking is the right way. It just works for him because it works for them. So why are we criticizing these people? Especially a lot of people are talking so much shit about that to them and calling Adam the simp of the year, being like this person that's like completely a simp and letting someone else run his wife. And it's like, bro, but this guy basically ran over his wife's Pronstar colleagues and they have their own show. Don't you think the wife is gonna feel a certain way as well?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Equality, guys. I mean, come on. Doesn't make you no, but it's because he's a guy, he's allowed to, but the wife is not allowed to, especially at Big Black. I'm like,
congratulations, you played yourself.
Guys, I don't know. I don't know if I would do that if I'm married. If I already tied the knot with my girl, I don't know if I don't believe I will ever let anybody else touch her. At the same time, I will not touch any other woman. I just don't. It's already done. And not that I'm saying that I did it before marrying my girl and vice versa with my girl. Like, no. It's just, that's our relationship. We respect each other's boundaries and we love each other, that we know that if we're going to be together, it's just you and me and that's it. It's respect at the end of the day, you know? Some relationship works that way. I mean, some of them have open relationship or open marriages, like quote unquote Will Smith and Jada. But we all know how that turned. And I guess like a lot of people are using that as an example. It's like, look how that turned, that whole Will and Jada situation. And maybe you're right. Maybe there's like a little bit of ego right there from the man's perspective. It's like, whatever. But who are we to decide if it's not gonna work on us? But maybe it works for them. So why are we caring so much about this? Like, why? Is it because Adam has said numerous times on their other platforms and other shows that he says he will never let anybody run her? Okay, that's a fair argument. Because I have heard some of the times he's talked to other talk show hosts and says like, you know, this whole dynamic that they're doing is like, no, I will never let anybody run over her.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
A little bit hypocritical on his part because he actually ended up doing that for her. But who are we to decide what's good and what's bad for their relationship? Oh, because it makes him a sim and this and that. Well, he's making money out of it, isn't he? And that's the part where I'm going to lead you guys right now. There's a reason this happened. And I'm not saying that he probably doesn't need the money. He's already a millionaire. I don't know. But here's the thing. The money will run out soon. Especially if you have a dying podcast or a dying channel that's like it's not getting its momentum and spit. Money will run dry soon. And especially he has to pay the employees, the editors, and the warehouse where he's at right now. So it's like there's a lot of factors that come into decisions like this. So when he announced, or when his wife announced that, everybody's shitting on him, and he probably should have just stayed quiet instead of like going into social media and say, "Oh, I'm a simp because I let somebody else run on my girl." It's like, all right, cool, good to know, because you know I ran the millions and you don't. He didn't say those verbatim, but it's like around those lines that he's like everybody shitting on him, and he's just like, all right, that makes me a simp because this made like millions and millions of dollars of it because people subscribe to it. It's like, all right, then I'm the simp. And I see how he's trying to play it off. It's like it makes him more look like a loser at that point. The way he's writing over and tweeting, like it's not his best forte. I gotta say that. But at the same time, in the more strategic, business marketing aspect, that was a genius move. Because remember what I say earlier, his channel was dying little by little after his recent scandal and whatnot. So there wasn't any momentum coming from him. So what's a good way to have everybody and their mothers talking about you? And what's a good way to monetize that momentum? You let your wife be ran over by a BBC. This is like week what? Week 2 or week 3 about this? And everybody's still talking about this. Everybody.
Emotional, damn it.
And he's leveraging that because it's getting people to go to her OnlyFans and subscribe to it. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't cheap. I'm pretty sure it was like a few 30, 40, 50 bucks out of it to see it. And make money out of that one single scene. And he's capitalizing that right now. Everybody and their mothers wants him on the show. Everybody wants to talk to him because obviously it's clipping, it's clip views, it's getting momentum. Now everybody in the world is talking about the no jumper because of this extreme left, right turn that he did. And people don't realize he's making money. Sure, does it make him look like a loser or a simp or whatever? Maybe, perhaps. But again, we can't judge other people's relationship because unless you're part of that relationship, you don't know what works best for them. You can give them free advice or you could give them your opinions towards it, whether they take it or not. That's all totally up to them. But we can't just judge them because like, oh, this is like the dumb way to do things. Like you're such of this, and that. Like, no, why? What? Why? We can talk about it. My opinions towards it, I don't think I will ever I guess I already said, I will never let anybody run over my wife. And I will never even myself or my wife will never let me run someone else as well. It's like, it's not going to happen. We're not in that relationship. We're in a monogamous relationship. And I'm fine with that. And I don't want to explore other options. I really don't. And if Adam22 wants to explore the other options as much as his wife, then all right. And if they're happy and if they talked about it, it's like, okay, cool, I mean, that's why it's called open marriages. There's boundaries to these levels, but it's not in it for anybody. So final thoughts about this. I don't know how long everybody's going to be dick riding for this, for this, honestly. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore because there's nothing like wow factoring about this other than what I've already mentioned. It was already said and done. Now it's just people just keep talking about it and putting their opinions and expressing their feelings towards it. But in my eyes, in the eyes of a technical perspective, it was a bold but genius move of what Adam did because now his podcast and his channel is getting more following. Everybody's talking to them. Everybody's getting a piece of it. He's getting a huge piece of it, and so is the wife. His patrons probably subscribe a lot more. His wife's OnlyFans got subscribed more. So, they're making money out of this. It's a genius move, I wouldn't say that this is a move that I would recommend people to do. If you're not into it, you're not into it. Don't do it. But yeah, this is one way for having people talk to you, whether it's negatively or positively. That's the all important. You have people talking about you. You become relevant again until you don't. Let's see how long this fire will last, and then how is he gonna approach his next step behind this? We'll see. Let's move on for the next topic because the next topic involves again two relationships. And speaking of relationships, the Jonah Hill situation. Yeah, guys, we're going to talk about Jonah Hill. We didn't talk about it just last week. I know we did it. I don't think you might even mention. But to put in perspective, this is what's happening with Jonah Hill right now. And I feel for the man. Recently, Jonah Hill is getting attacked by the media because of a ex-lover. A few years ago, he was dating this person, Sarah Brady. There we go. So it all stems from his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, who is known as a surfer and Instagram influencer, I guess. I don't know. We're going to look into it a little bit more later on. So they've been dating for quite some time, and they seem to broke up. Years later, he started seeing his now current girlfriend and now baby mama of his newborn child. And soon after his child was born, his ex-girlfriend, surfer Sarah Brady, decided to leak text messages about him and Jonah and how misogynistic and manipulative and control is Jonah Hill. Basically a smear campaign. And her excuse was, I've been waiting this long. I didn't want to do this while the current girlfriend is on the pregnant. I want to do it afterwards, and then once the baby's born, then and in my head, I'm feel like this is
Say,
way too.
hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
And you're doing this. Why? According to her, because Jonah Hill is misogynistic, narcissist, control, all the above. It's a whole smear campaign, and it shows receipts of her exchanging this and that, how controlled they got. And basically, the receipts were him saying, "I got a set of boundaries, and you need to respect those boundaries." Which a lot of people have been talking about it, because a lot of people say, again, another situation where everybody's all over the place. But in this situation, I'm in the side of Jonah Hill in all this, because I feel like he's been smear campaigning. People are dragging his name to the mud, and I'm gonna explain to you why, guys. It's a little bit too convenient for her to talk about this right after his firstborn child was born. And why leak? Why leak your text messages about him? Like, so far, what I've read about the text messages, I haven't seen anything that is like so misogynistic or any of that level that tells me that Jonah Hill is actually like, he's a bad guy. In fact, quite the contrary. All the text messages that I'm reading, it's indicating how much of a respectful person he is towards her. Like, it's telling me, like, again, I don't know what goes behind the scenes. Maybe he is, and maybe he isn't. I'm just going about with whatever is on the surface, whatever is on the face value, whatever is being presented in front of me. This is what I'm going, okay, guys? But so far, all I'm seeing is him being respectful and decided to be, this is my boundaries. Like, I don't want you to talk to dudes. I don't want you to post naked or half naked pictures on Instagram. Like, I don't want you to post ass pictures of Instagram. And I don't want you to talk to these dudes after work and this and that, because I'm like, okay, that's quite an acceptable boundary. Okay. There's a twist in this. Hold on. And her response was like, fuck you, who the fuck you think you are? All this, like, very nasty, And he was like, look, if that's what you want, then by all means, go for it. And I'll understand, and we'll stop our relationship right here and there, And I wish you nothing but good luck and everything. So he broke it off, and I was like, the most, all right, honorable way to say it. Good job, bro. Good job. All right, I guess. But she went on a whole tirade saying, like, this is like control freak, this and that. I'm like, I gotta have to disagree with you, because every man or every woman, everybody has boundaries. There's certain boundaries that if once we become this relationship, you cannot cross these boundaries, no matter what. And everybody's entitled to have their boundaries. Of course, if you met the girl through Instagram and you know that this is what she does for a living, and then you're putting these boundaries, I might feel a certain way. I feel like, bro, like, this is how you met her. This is how she is. Like, I don't think it's in your right to say like there should be any boundaries behind it. But at the same time, I understand where he's coming from. But it's like, it's a even give and take, it all depends. But all I see is just like, all right, he's just setting boundaries, and she's taking it to the whole now never, and giving him a smear campaign saying how he's a evil villain person, when in reality you're the villain in the story. I saw some of the pictures of her, and let me tell you, as a surfer myself, and I've surfed with other people, a lot of people tend to wear bodysuits when they're surfing. Her way of surfing is all with bikinis. I'm not saying that that's not wrong. Anybody can surf the way, but a prominent surfer would know that, even a woman who normally will wear a bodysuit, whether it's only the first half and you just have the bikinis, that's fine, or it's just a whole bodysuit. And I lived in the island for 25 years, so I know a lot more about this than a lot of people know. It's each other's preference at the end of the day. But when I see some of the pictures that she was questioning, that she was saying, bro, we know what you're doing. Like, get the fuck out of here. Half of the pictures of her surfing is all ass shots.
Nani?
Like, come on.
She belongs to the street.
Like, you're gonna tell me you don't know what you're doing?
Gotcha, bitch.
And it's Instagram. How many times I've talked about this in the podcast about Instagram? It's like you posting certain pictures. In fact, the times that I interview Instagram people, or even fucking, if you guys go back to an older episode that I interviewed Danielle D. Nicola, she's a famous cosplayer. She has her OnlyFans, and she's also a Twitch streamer and whatnot. She tells you right away, like she's from marketing, so she knows what to post on these social medias and what gravitates people. Check that interview out, guys. Like, I'm telling you, this is a marketing move. This is how you get the attention from other people, from so that way that you can get the following. This is obviously. So you're telling me, oh, look at me, I'm waving. If I see you like you're riding a wave and you see the wave closing in and you're like right there, I'm like, holy shit, that's actually a nice shot. Like, yeah, this is legit. But if more than half of your pictures is just you riding a surfing board and all I see is your backside the whole time on every other picture, then yeah, I kind of feel like you know what you're doing. That's where the boundaries come into place. Like, come on. Don't tell me like you're doing this for the love of surfing and whatnot. No, if you're doing this for the love of surfing, A, you don't post it on social media. And B, if you do, then you take every single angle and not just your ass angles. It's simple as that. Like, get the fuck out of here with that bullcrap of, he's being controlling and whatnot. Like, no, it sounds like you're just being a bitter bitch, honestly. Because why would you be doing this smear campaign of leaking? And that's another thing that I hate. Why are you leaking private conversations with your significant other and your ex-significant other? Why? To show the world what kind of person that guy is? Whatever happens within closed doors is between you and that person. You have no right to put that on the public, especially if he hasn't said or done anything wrong. But alas, all I'm here is like, through the messages that I've been scrolling and seeing, is like they have been going on back and forth, and they've been going on a doctor, on a therapist, and I feel like the therapist is not doing a very good job, because the therapist seemed like a little bit biased and on her side. And I feel like the therapist, you cannot be biased. You have to be objectively the mediator and see the right and wrong. But if it becomes a one-sided thing, then that's an issue. Yeah, then be going back and forth from all this. And I'm like, dude, this is a very nasty comment. Like, why would you do this to now? Especially, he hasn't said anything wrong to you, or he hasn't talked about you. Again, let me put you a timeline. He broke up with this girl 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he broke it off. And in this time, 6 months later, he found someone else and is now the current person that he has his baby with. And something that he did, which I feel like he didn't have to do that. He really didn't have to do that. Jonah, because after they broke it off, they still stay in touch as friendly people. And what he said to her was, saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know, because I respect you. I know we're talking and this and that, but we broke it up and blah, blah, blah. Just wanted you to know I'm fine. I've started dating. I found somebody. I started dating, and it's an amazing person, but I didn't want you to know through a third party or someone else. I want you to know, be the first person, And she replies like, thank you for letting me know. I think it's best if we stop talking altogether and not be engaged anymore. And he's like, totally agree. I understand. I respect your decision. That's it. That makes me think Jonah Hill's very innocent and he's not a manipulative or any of that, because here's the part where the plot thickens. She later decided to go on a tirade against him because of a picture that they took, and they put her name in it and say, tell your publicist that that's not me. And then afterwards, she decided to say a lot of nasty things about him and this and that. And that's where he goes like, wait, what? She was on a hell deep end of being nasty to him. And this was 2 years ago. After that, he stopped. He doesn't know anything. Fast forward to now. She later decides to leak all these information, leak all the private text messages. See how misogynistic this is? And people are looking at her as to, what? I don't see anything wrong in all this, like per se, unless you're telling us that he's being very abusive in your relationship or being, he hit you or whatnot. But right now, this proves us nothing. Oh, but she definitely did say, "Oh, he's been mentally abusing me, and he's been verbally saying things, and he's been controlling, and this and that." And when I look at the text messages, I'm like, "Where's the controlling part? Like, what? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on." But yeah, it's been like that. It's been a fucking roller coaster with this, and all I'm seeing is her losing her shit. I feel like in all this that she just basically like lost it. She just couldn't handle that she just couldn't handle that he's in a happier relationship with somebody and has a baby, and she just lost her marbles and just put it out. Oh, but let me tell you why I continue to think like she's the villain in all this. She continues to explode this even more, exploit him even further by adding more shit, and then like sniping him on the post and whatnot. She's using this momentum to gain some fandom, some clout. 100%. Anybody who tells me otherwise says like, no, she's a victim, this and that. Let me tell you something. I'm going to hit you with this button.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Because if you feel that that's the case, then you're probably not reading between the lines and you're not really reading what's really going on. And sure, like I said, I don't know what went through closed doors because I wasn't part of that relationship. I don't know. I have not seen it. I don't know what went down. Maybe he is, or maybe he isn't. We don't know. We're only judging based on the surface level of what's being presented in our faces. That's pretty much it. But as far as I'm seeing this in the most, objective perspective, sure, maybe that was kind of a little bit controlling, setting the boundary, like you're not allowed to talk to certain people. But that's basically putting the stamp of the foot is like, if I want to be your girlfriend or you want to be my girlfriend, like these are my boundaries. This is like what it is. It is what it is. In every relationship, there's always a compromise. Yeah, you always gotta find a compromise. Maybe that was a little bit controlling of who to, because if that's how you met her, then it's kind of like a little bit hypocritical on your part, I gotta say. And it's kind of like weak for you to say that, especially when you're fucking Jonah Hill, like you're a fucking celebrity A-list guy. But at the same time, that's his boundaries. You have to respect them. There's nothing wrong about it. And he gave her the out. He gave her the out. Like, if you don't want this, then I understand. Then we'll finish this relationship and we move on with our lives. All Gucci. And I'll support you with whatever you need. You got my support. I'm your friend in all this. She didn't took that lightly. She took the other route. Obviously, they broke it off, but she's the one who decided to leak this. And then for her to say like, finding after many years of being abused, she just then let her decide the Me Too card, which I feel like that's kind of a weak thing to do because now you're exploiting this. Now you're getting a lot more followers, a lot more likes, a lot more views. Now the attention's on you. So it's actually 100% a smear campaign that exploiting Jonah Hill and not in a good way. And she's just gaining, the support out of it. And what sucks is that she's the type of Me Too that the girl that cries wolf. Very controversial me saying that, but it just seems like it. For what I'm seeing, that's how it's being presented by. Because again, I'm reading these texts and you guys can take a look at these. Not one thing that I see that it's very like over borderline to say abusive. Now, if you guys remember a few months ago, the Amaranth situation with her husband or soon to be ex-husband, I don't know how that ended up. Him saying those nasty things, yes, that's abusive. Saying the texts and the voice and the call, yeah, that 100% abusive. And Amaranth has every right to Me Too him. And she's a survivor and she's a support, and I support her because that was definitely abusive. She brought the receipts. This girl, Sarah Brady, The receipts that she's bringing is damaging her career, not Jonah. Because it's not saying anything negative about Jonah. It's just saying he has boundaries, and that's all perfectly okay. Every woman has boundaries as well. You got to respect each other's boundaries. But what you can't do is leak this information out there just to make someone look bad. It just makes you a shitty person, especially after they got a child. It's supposed to be the most happiest time of their lives, and now you're taking away that happiness, all because you're bitter about it. Based off what I'm seeing, you're just being bitter. You're just being a bitter bitch. And now, what's so fucked up is like now I'm also seeing some cast member from Zoe 101 is accusing Jonah Hill for what? For sexually, I don't know. It's he now it's like everybody's trying to Me Too him now, or try to Me Too him. The world we live in, nobody cares about the truth when the lie is much more entertaining. Unfortunate. My thoughts in all this is based off what I'm gathered or what I see is that Jonah Hill has a very upcoming battle with dealing with the smear campaign. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope that this gets resolved very quickly. And I hope that this Sarah Brady girl, the bitter bitch, get her a little clout. It's not gonna last long, and that's how she's gonna remain as a loser for history. Nobody wants to touch that. So let's just move on to the next one. So this is something I definitely want to talk. Recently, it's the last topic. Recently, Microsoft is gonna try to acquire Activision Blizzard. For many of you guys, it's probably like, okay, so it's big corporation absorbing another corporation. What's the big deal? Big deal is that Activision Blizzard is remained to be a very neutral gaming company, meaning that every game that comes out from that company is being distributed to all platforms, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, I guess, Steam. That's what it's been known. That's how they always want to get. But when you have a big corporation that's dedicated to one platform, in this case, Microsoft owns Xbox and want to own a big video game company. I mean, we're talking about the company that has Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and other big games. I think Fortnite is under Blizzard. So, Activision Blizzard. Yeah, you have a gaming company, a gaming corporate console like Xbox. Acquiring that, it's scary because that means that PlayStation and Nintendo, and I don't know about Steam because Steam is still under Microsoft, but those other platforms that been using those video games for competition as well, that means they get to lose those console games, and that will lead to disaster because that means that Xbox will have exclusive games to themselves under this brand. So in instance, like for example, when Bungie was under Xbox, Halo was only exclusively to Xbox. Exclusively. And if anybody wanted to play Halo, one of the greatest games in all gaming franchise history, you have to buy an Xbox. That's just how it is. So people have to buy Xbox just to buy Halo. And then when Bungie left at Microsoft, they decided to partner up with Sony and decided to do Destiny. But the thing about Destiny is that Destiny made it into all bundles, all platforms. I think I don't remember if Destiny was exclusively first to PlayStation and then released it to Xbox. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. Someone can correct me. But yeah, Bungie decided to work along with PlayStation and decided to do Destiny, release Destiny, and do this whole game without and release on other platforms. What Xbox is trying to do is making sure that anybody who plays Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Fortnite, I think Overwatch as well, is to make it look like it's only for Xbox. That means that you're taking away years and years of gaming history on the PlayStation that has been capitalizing. Now you're taking it to Microsoft, and that leads to a monopoly. It leads to a one-sided bill because that means what they can do is they can release the first year, they can release it on these games, on these platforms, and then the next year, then you can have it. because Microsoft want to earn the money first, and then they'll spread it around everybody. That's what everybody's speculating. But I got a few articles that we're gonna go ahead and watch. We're gonna read a little bit. So all these tied to IGN. So what we got right here, Xbox big Activision Blizzard FTX trial. Mind you, guys, all this was on trial because Sony was doing everything in its power to block this forever happening. Now, we don't know if it's true that, it was going to happen, but there has been a lot of rumor leaks about transcripts and whatnot or emails saying like, yeah, it's going to happen that way, that once Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard, it's going to be all exclusive games to themselves. And then they'll decide to release it on other platforms like PlayStation and whatnot, which is like, that's not fair because then anybody who doesn't have an Xbox, now they have to purchase it. But it's a monopoly. It's for them to gain money. It's all about money and all of this. So right here, we got Xbox big Activision Blizzard FTX trial, IGN's complete trial recap, and the verdict. Xbox won its court battle against the FTX. Here's everything that happened. All right, thank you guys for summarizing it for me so I could do this very quickly. So Xbox has won the battle against FTX over its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. IGN, Xbox wins we finally got the verdict on Tuesday, July 11. Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley has ruled in favor of Microsoft, denying FTX's preliminary injunction request. So the internet reacts to the Xbox FTX trial arena. Following verdict, the internet reacted to the Xbox victory over the FTX with statements from Microsoft Phil Spencer and Brad Smith. Plus, we got lots of reactions from both Xbox and PlayStation fans sharing their feelings for the results. Nearly 1 million documents couldn't catch Xbox saying it will make Call of Duty exclusive. That's actually a very good. Remember what I said. That was the way it's being presented and the way it looks like when a big corporation that owns a gaming console decides to own a gaming development such as big as Activision Blizzard, meaning that they'll get exclusively the game to themselves first, and then later they will decide whether to release it or not. That's about saying like, no, it's all false. What they're saying, like, we're gonna split it. We're just gonna show it first, and then we'll give it to the others. But that's very vague as it is. The FTS continue to argue that Xbox could make Call of Duty an exclusive, but in nearly 1 million documents, the FTS couldn't catch Xbox actually claiming this was a possibility. I think that's why they lost the verdict, because they couldn't catch, and they have all the documents in the world to say that this is a possibility, and it's leaning towards it, but not one that says, yeah, we're gonna do that. I think that's the reason why. So the FTX versus Microsoft judge does in fact think the Switch competes with Xbox and PlayStation. Absolutely. A huge point of contention in the trial was if the Nintendo Switch is a competitor to the Xbox and PlayStation. The judge decided that the Switch is, in fact, a competitor, disagreeing with one of the FTX's main points. Activision Blizzard share prices seen big jump following the FTX. Activision Blizzard share prices jumped to roughly $92 following the verdict, an 11.27% increase from before the ruling was announced. We saw similar rise stock in Microsoft announced over the year. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about it. Look at this. Let me just scroll over. So what we read is basically the whole verdict of it. And these are like the recaps. Let's see what others says. Activision share prices seem to be a jump. Like, yeah, dude, like it's wild to see that. What's next for Xbox after the FTX agreement? In the final weeks before its deadline, Xbox finally appears clear to acquire Activision Blizzard. So it's a done deal. Microsoft's Xbox is gonna acquire Activision Blizzard. This is in the year and a half since then. Everyone's a little sick of hearing about it now, but in a few weeks, seems like there's a new trial, a new document, new email, or something else. Blah blah blah. Just as very says that it's because of pause the deal until August here in such a month. But after months of seeing this, yes, we are here. What happened and why? Assuming that the deal proceeds unimpeded, the next question is what it means to the industry at large. Well, the FTX dropped the ball multiple times. In this case, its chair, Lena has demonstrated a desire to crack down on big tech merges and has successfully on multiple other fronts. In the sense, one possibility is that FTX takes this defeat as a lesson on dealing with gaming industry. Van Durman specifically called this massive teachable moment at everyone. A big reason why both CMN and FTX have proven unsuccessful at blocking the deal is that they're mediocre understanding of the video game industry. I don't know about that. That's fine, of course, except the judge has a better understanding of the business of video game than your legal team. That's shots fired. Let's see. With that in mind, it's worth looking ahead, and then this acquisition will draw this level of scrutiny because it seems like inevitable there will be one eventually. The FTC appeals the decision. Oh wow! So this is something just recently new. So FTC appeals the decision on the recent trial. So they're gonna try to appeal it on the challenging verdict of it. That's interesting. Well, I mean, we're gonna wrap this up, bro. What are my thoughts in all this? Like I said earlier, it's a whole monopoly. I don't think it's something good to celebrate because that's something that's probably gonna happen. Eventually, what Microsoft is trying to do is to make sure that they get the games first handed, they get tested on their versions first, and they get to release it first, and they can destroy it first, and then get their money first, and then later they'll release it on other platforms. This is bad because what if they decided not to do that, not to release it on other platforms? What if they decided to be exclusive just for them? And then now it's Halo all over again. Now everybody needs to buy an Xbox, and that's bad because like, what if people really don't like Xbox that much and or they don't really care and they're already happy with what they got? And now they need to buy a console for it. Then it's more money for their pockets. They don't give a shit about us. Yeah, so this is a huge monopoly move that Microsoft pulled on it. And the way I'm looking at it, they're going to say it's going to be exclusively only on Xbox. And people are going to see, you see what they mean? Like they did this on purpose so they can be exclusive. But then later on they say, yeah, it's exclusive for Xbox. Now, later we're going to release it for other platforms. If you want to wait, you can wait and we'll release it. But now we're going to have it for Xbox first. That's how they're going to save their asses for it. And that's going to make a lot of people desperate because that means like people will want to go buy the Xbox now and then be like, play it. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I know it's not, it's going to, my thoughts is that I feel it's going to be like that. That's how it's going to be from now on. Acquiring Activision Blizzard means that they're going to get first dips on the game and later they'll spread it on other platforms. I think that's exactly how it's going to be. I don't think they're going to be that big of a douchebags and leave it exclusive. And if they did, they fool everybody. And the next move is that I'm 100% sure Sony is going to do that same attempt with another gaming company. Which one? There's only two that I feel like Sony will try to acquire first, or they will attempt to acquire: Capcom and Square Enix. Because those are like the only two developing companies that gave Sony the heads up first for their series, for the Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and Devil May Cry. And, obviously Square Enix with Final Fantasy and whatnot. Like they give it, so I feel like they have a very good tight relationship. So Microsoft acquiring Blizzard, Activision right now. All right, you get the big guys. We're going to take the niche dedicated one. And Sony acquiring, if Sony attempts to acquire Square Enix or Capcom or both, oh my God, the gaming industry is going to be so divided. So divided. And I'm pretty sure Sony is going to backfire Microsoft by saying, here you guys go. We got Square Enix and fucking Capcom. Sorry, losers. You want Devil May Cry, you want Street Fighter, you want Resident Evil, you want Final Fantasy, you want Kingdom Hearts, you want these games, come to Sony first. And then it's gonna be a petty match back and forth until nobody's gonna win. They're gonna win because they're gonna be ending up winning. Everybody's gonna be paying off for the consoles and games right now. And all the fans are just gonna be hating each other. It's like, it's pointless, guys. This is all monopoly. Like they're doing this on purpose. Those are my thoughts. We're gonna wrap this up, guys. We'll see how it goes, guys. Keep me updated, guys. I'll let you guys know if anything goes. Thank you guys for listening. And remember, every week is a brand new episode or a brand new topic. So always remember to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the WOLVPVCK Podcast app or at Lone Wolf Pod for SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio. You can check that out all at Wolves and Music or at the Lone Wolf Podcast or WOLVPVCK Podcast. You can all check that out. The YouTube channel, check that out at Lone Wolf Pod or the Lone Wolf Podcast. When you check all my latest episodes, comment down below and let me hear your thoughts, share your experiences. If you guys got a specific topic that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments down below, or even let me know at Twitter or Instagram to let me know what are your thoughts. What do you want me to cover in the next episode? And I'm going to do my best to cover on the next episode. Okay, guys? So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. All right? Peace.